But let me say one thing about the Midwest, my friends. I actually find the Midwest one of the most fascinating regions in America. Beautiful, landscapes. The only bad thing I can think about the Midwest is I believe there is a lot of tornadoes. Am I off on this? Because I really believe that's the case. Today I will be reacting to 6 reasons I actually love living in America's Midwest. But before I go into that, let me ask you for one thing. If you can leave a like, thank you so much, my friend. It's the best way to show support. If you can subscribe, well, in that case, forget about it. You make my day. Have that in consideration. Now, link for the original video in my description. I love Lawrence, give him some love. That said, well, I'm really curious to see this one. Let's play it.
Hi, my name is Lawrence and I have lived in the Midwest for 13 years. In that time, I've resided in the cities of Anderson, Fort Wayne, Indianapolis, Indiana, and Chicago, Illinois. I've also spent a lot of time in various other states in the Midwest, and I thought now would be a great time to talk about the reasons that I love living here. Here are 6 of them.
Okay, food, of course, food is always a reason in America. But let me say one thing about the Midwest, my friends. I actually find the Midwest one of the most fascinating regions in America. Beautiful, landscapes. The only bad thing I can think about the Midwest is I believe there is a lot of tornadoes. Am I off on this? Because I really believe that's the case. But apart from that, I would love to visit the Midwest, my friends. Food. Okay, food is a bit of, I don't think it's fair because I feel like food in America is good all over. But okay, let's see it.
I talk about food a lot on this channel, which, says more about me than it does about you. But even though initially I had a sort of longing for those British foods that I'd left behind when I first moved to the United States, I did over time come to appreciate some of the food items that you can get in the Midwest. I mean, who doesn't like a good Chicago deep dish pizza?
Okay.
And actually, on that score, I've said this before, I actually prefer the Detroit style. Am I going to get in trouble?
Controversial,
but
if you
Chicago
like.
specializes in other world famous foods like the Chicago style hot dog.
What is that? Damn it. I was saying so many good things about America, about the Midwest. Now you give me a green hot dog. No chance. No, this cannot be good. Is this good, my friends, actually? What the hell is that green? Real talk. Every time there is green on food, very, very rare is good. Can we at least agree with that? If you put ketchup, green, that's a bit of a mess. But okay, I mean, let's see it.
Make sure not to ask for...
Actually, let's write a bit back, sorry.
I actually prefer the Detroit style. Am I going to get in trouble? But Chicago specializes in other world famous foods like the Chicago style hot dog. Make sure not to ask for ketchup and do insist on the kryptonite looking green relish. But my experiences aren't all slanted towards Chicago. When I was in St. Louis, I had something called toasted ravioli.
Oh, I love ravioli.
Likes to take well-known Italian food and just sort of pack on the calories, but it was really nice. And even though it's been a few years, I remember having and enjoying a pork tenderloin sandwich, which you can't live in Indiana if you haven't had one of those. And recently, one of my patrons from Ohio recommended that I try eating a buckeye, which I thought was a person from Ohio, and I didn't fancy getting arrested. But it turns out they're just peanut butter balls dipped in chocolate, so if I'm in the...
Peanut butter with chocolate? Damn, that sounds amazing, actually. Yeah, the Midwest is tremendous. I'm saying it.
Mood, that sounds all right. Even though...
People, this is my favorite. This is my favorite part about America, about the South, about the Midwest, about Texas. Does not matter the place. I think there is amazing people in America. And that's what makes that country so great. Your country, my friend. Not mine, but I love it.
I'm a massive introvert. I usually do find the good in people after knowing them for 3 years. That's most certainly become true of people in the Midwest. And when I lived in Indiana, people always talked about Hoosier hospitality. And it's true. On the whole, people are really welcoming. I mean, it helps if you have a British accent, but they are nice. And I always wondered, well, what's the reason for this? And I think it's the weather. I think having to put up with just mountains of snow every winter makes people way more patient.
I actually believe in this also. I actually believe that, states/countries, of course, that have really harsh weather makes for stronger people in general. For people that are not that soft. You know what I mean? André, Portugal have amazing weather. Yeah, I'm soft. I'm not it is what it is. But I really believe on this.
That's not true. It makes people less patient. And in Chicago, it's
Damn it.
pretty much the same. People are usually nice to me, although it did take me a while to figure that out. Just today on the way to the barber's, this big chap in a Cubs hat yelled, "What's going on, buddy?" And when I first moved here, it would have been difficult to determine if this was a threat or a greeting. And after this sort of thing happened multiple times, I realized that this is just how Chicagoans speak. I think it's affection disguised as a declaration of war. I've said this before, I think before moving to the United States, I didn't have such an appreciation for American history. And you could sort of divide American history into geographic subsets. The eastern portion of America rightly takes a lot of credit because it was settled earlier. The West, just because of expansion. But the Midwest seems to have been that kind of bridge in between. And so a lot of the sort of historical narrative comes out of that fact. You have St. Louis, the gateway to the West. And when I think about that, I think about people like Lewis and Clark, and for my British viewers, that's nothing to do with Superman. And then there's the fact that Abraham Lincoln seems to follow me everywhere. Not literally, he's dead. Even though he was born in Kentucky, I was fortunate enough years ago to visit his
Oh, this is the house. Abraham Lincoln is my favorite president, by the way, my friends. I know it's controversial between Lincoln and Washington. I think both are incredible. Both are really, really special. And Washington is the king of America. Let's all agree with that. But the history of Lincoln, for me, is a bit more interesting. And I'm not sure if you guys agree with this one, by the way. But for me, Lincoln is really, really special. I would love to visit this, such a small house. Wisconsin, right? That's a difficult word. Potato, you know.
Boyhood home in India.
Sorry.
Even though he was born in Kentucky, I was fortunate enough years ago to visit his boyhood home in Indiana. And just
Indiana. Huh.
this year, I finally got to visit Springfield, where, of course, he was a legislator. And I can say unreservedly that the Lincoln Museum in Springfield is one of the best museums I've ever visited, and it gave me a newfound appreciation for the 16th US president. And then I'm fascinated, perhaps because of my own story, of the people that came here to populate the places in the Midwest. A lot of people in the Midwest are of German ancestry, and I fit in really well, having...
Dude, I have a video about this, by the way. Sorry for pausing, but blew my mind how many Americans have ancestry related with Germany. It's crazy. Are you guys aware of this? Or even better, anyone watching this video have ancestry related with Germany? Because, look, I know Irish, Scotland, UK in general, right? Of course, there is a huge influence. But Germany, I was not aware. That's amazing. Oh, sorry. Continue.
Absolutely no Germanic background, but also a decent contingent of Scandinavian influence. And, you know, I think maybe that accounts for why people can handle the snow quite well. You know, I get messages all the time from people looking to move to the United States and asking me, how much does it cost to live in the US? And my answer is always the same. It really depends on where you're looking to move to. But it seems...
Wait, the Midwest is the best place to move if you don't want to spend a lot of money? The cost of living is the lowest in America? I thought that was the South, actually, for some reason. Okay.
Seems to me that the cost of living in the Midwest is significantly more in your favor than that of much of the West and East Coast. For example, I rented...
Oh, but not the South.
3 properties in the state of Indiana, and never once did I pay more than $600. This is practically unheard of in Chicago and most...
Oh, that's cheap, actually. In Portugal, you pay more than that.
Certainly unheard of in the big cities on the West Coast and the East Coast, where $600 gets you a shed with no roof. And there's other things, you know, little things like the cost of parking.
That's what you get in Lisbon also.
For example. In the more expensive parts of the United States, it might cost in multiple dollars just to use a parking meter for an hour. In Fort Wayne, I think we paid something like 25 or 50 cents. Now, the West and the East Coast do attract British immigrants just because they have major hubs. And I wouldn't want to deny anybody that, but living in the Midwest has certainly been kinder, I think, on my wallet than had I chosen to live in, say, New York City. The same is even true for Chicago. While the cost of living here is definitely more expensive than, say, Indianapolis, your money does go a lot further than if you're living in San Francisco. The trade-off being that you have to put up with 400 billion inches of snow every winter. Ofta.
Great Lakes. Oh man, America really have great lakes. My friends, look, let's be real. No one watches until the end, and we are close to the end. We are like what, 10 minutes into the video. But I have a question for specialists that are watching this video. Most of you guys are not qualified to answer this one, but the ones that are, please leave me an answer. If I move to America, let's say, hypothetical, of course. If I move to America, I know it will be very difficult because it's so difficult to become a legal immigrant, and of course, I just want to go that way. But if I move to America, I'm poor. Comparing with you guys, I'm poor. What are the state I should go where, the rent will not be crazy? The quality of course, I also want to live in a nice place. André, that's impossible. That's why I'm saying a specialist, please answer this one. Basically, cheap and good. What are the state I should go if that's possible? Damn it, probably not possible. But for sure, someone will have an answer for this.
Having grown up not far from the English seaside, I've always enjoyed living near to big bodies of water. And as somebody who didn't move to America's traditional coasts, it is nice to live just 10 minutes away from Lake Michigan because it gives the appearance of a huge ocean just without all of that iceberg malarkey. And I wonder if a lot of people don't think about that when you're in Indiana, Michigan, Illinois, Wisconsin, you're never too far away from the sound of seagulls, even as they're stealing your Dippin' Dots. And of course, that's just Lake Michigan. 4 of the Great Lakes are connected to the Midwest. And the state of Michigan is being a little bit greedy. If the tectonic plates shift wildly enough, it won't think twice about devouring Ontario. I just said all of that out loud. For me, one of the most underrated things
sunsets are really that special in the Midwest?
About the Midwest is its sunsets. There's a kind of hue in the sky that I don't think I've seen replicated elsewhere. It possibly helps that the Midwest is quite flat, so your vantage point is always pretty strong.
Very
that
orange.
Vantage point, by the way, for me, has often been over cornfields or soy fields, but it hasn't diminished the experience. In fact, it was on that same Route 66 Illinois trip that I had a kind of wow moment that sounded less cheesy in my head. We were staying in this little village called Sherman, Illinois.
Oh, look at that, the flag, a sunset. Oh, this is a beautiful one.
And I just wanted some evening B-roll to close out the subsequent video. And I lament to this day that I didn't have a sufficient lens yet to do this.
Oh, that's nice.
And I just wanted to say good night to everybody, except the mosquitoes. The only thing that could improve it is to be able to watch the sunset over Lake Michigan, as I'm sure people in Michigan get to do on a frequent basis. I'm not envious at all. And I know what you're thinking, Lawrence, wouldn't you get that same effect with a sunrise? I'm never up before 10:30, so no. Anyway, those are just some of the things I love about living in the Midwest. Let me know in the comments below if you live here and what you love about it.
So to finish this, my friends, this was a great video. The Midwest is fantastic, and to be honest, I was kind of aware already, but it is always nice to see Lawrence explaining with such clarity the points that make, in its perspective, of course, the Midwest so great. So do not forget to leave a like, do not forget to subscribe. See you guys next time.